Well, we are thrilled on Under the Hood this week with this lovely lady joining us. Danielle
Hello.
Manor is here, singer and actress, entrepreneur.
Indeed.
You've got a lot going on.
I do. I do. I don't like sitting still.
Well, thank you for sitting still long enough to be on Under the Hood.
Naturally. Thank
This
you
is
so much for
great.
having me here. You guys have been so wonderful and gracious, and I'm so excited to be here.
Well,
really.
we're pumped to learn more about you. We'll start at the beginning. A Georgia girl,
Oh my goodness.
Peachtree
Yes,
City, right?
I am. I am a Georgia girl to my heart. I was born in New York City, but I was raised here in Peachtree City. So I always consider myself a peach apple hybrid.
How long were you in New York?
Just until I was very small, until I was like 5 years old.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I moved here to the Atlanta metropolitan area and grew up here in the Atlanta metro area. So I definitely love Atlanta.
Well, it warms my heart that you are a lifelong Atlanta Hawks fan. You don't know. You
am.
may not know this about being a Hawks fan, particularly a season ticket member. If you do that, if you're a Hawks fan, you go straight to heaven. Not many people know that.
Well, there we go.
So,
me
you're
and the
off the
man
hook.
who made toilet paper, we are right there with each other.
So, Peachtree City, what are you doing down there with all those retired Delta pilots and driving a golf cart?
Yes, we drive around golf carts. That's what we do. No, because I grew up out there, my family is still out there. So I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm very active. I love to like be outside and be in nature and things of that nature. So we have like all these nature reserves out there in addition to like the golf courses. Like the golf courses are pretty, but I like to be like in nature and stuff. So we can go kayaking on Lake Peachtree, which I like to do very often in the spring and summertime, and in the fall a little bit too when I can. And, just go out and spend time with the family and, hang out with all my dogs and all of that kind of stuff. So,
I love it.
yes.
Well, you'll be interested also to learn that on Under the Hood, our charity sponsor is a rescue operation called Rescue Me Georgia.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we are excited to be teamed up with them.
I absolutely love that because that is one of the things that I do in my spare time. When I have some free time, I volunteer with the Humane Society and I help foster kittens.
Nice. Well, we'll get
So-
you over on Rescue Me Georgia, too.
Yes, we definitely.
After
I would
this,
love
for
to
sure.
do that.
Macintosh?
Yes, I went to McIntosh High School. Shout out to the Chiefs who are out there, wherever y'all are. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you when I graduated. I'm absolutely not going to do that. And but I was there, and my love for theater and my love for acting really, really blossomed then. I had already been doing like plays and community theater and things of that nature since I was about 7 or 8 years old. And but by the time I got to high school and got into Macintosh, I had really fantastic literature teachers and a drama teacher who taught me Shakespeare and iconography and really just what it means to be an actor and understanding the nuances and understanding the context of the film or play that you're doing. So that's when I really started to be like, okay, I might be able to really do this thing. I might be able to really do this thing. And I really, really enjoyed it then.
Well,
So,
every kid, right, is in a play when they're 7 or 8. You
Right.
know, I mean, everybody does that. But there has to come a time, and you mentioned it when you get to high school,
yes.
that there are mentors that help you along the way.
Most
Who
definitely.
were those people for you?
Ooh, some of the people that have definitely mentored me along the way. Of course, in the very beginning, I would definitely speak about like my English teachers and things of that nature that helped me understand what I was reading and helped me to understand subtext and how to bring that character and those types of things to life. I also had some really amazing folks when I traveled to New York, and I trained in New York City as well. And my acting coach in New York City, his name is Carl Ford, who is one of the most brilliant men I've ever met in my entire life. He's phenomenal, and really just kind of gave me a lot of tough love, and pushed me to be the best that I can be. And Ted Johnson is definitely one of the people who I absolutely have cherished and admired, and who has helped mentor me and helped me be a part of his work so that I had an opportunity to work. And wonderful fact, I was in a film last summer that was selected for diversity in Cannes for the Cannes Film Festival, and Ted and Galo Entertainment helped sponsor me and helped me to go. So it was one of my dreams to always go to the south of France and go to the prestigious film festival and walk up the red carpet steps of the Palais. And Ted was able to help me do that, and I will never be able to repay him enough for that.
Yeah,
So
we thank Ted
definitely
for having the connection to get you here today. In sports television, this is kind of the candy store of life. I mean, we go to
Right.
games, right? But for actors, I think the parallel is this. It looks so great from the outside.
Yes.
It looks so glamorous.
Yes.
And, the hair and the makeup and the cars and the set. Then there's the reality of the business. Two different things. Before we get to your professional career, I do have to ask you, what's a nice girl from Peachtree City going to Tempe, Arizona to get her undergraduate degree? Arizona State's a long way from Atlanta,
It
Georgia.
is. It
How'd you
sure
end up
is.
at ASU?
I did not want to be here. I genuinely didn't. I am an adventurer to my heart and spirit. I was very lucky and was able to travel a lot when I was young. And so I went to Europe for the very first time right before I went to high school, and was able to really experience what life was like outside of America, especially being a Black woman. For me, it was very, very interesting, especially as young as I was, because I was very young, to see what life was like outside of the realm of just Southern Americana. And after my eyes were kind of opened up, I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to see as much of it as I possibly could. And I knew that I couldn't get everything that I really wanted to be just here in Atlanta, especially at that time. We, hadn't had any tax incentives, and there were, none of the Hollywood stuff that's in Atlanta now was not there then.
Right.
And so I told my parents, I said, hey, look, I want to be the best of the best. And that is going to mean that I'm not going to be here. So I need you to prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, whatever. Ali, y'all need to get it together, because I'm out of here. I went to kindergarten with the same kids that I graduated from high school with. And I just really could not imagine going to college with the same kids that I went to primary school with. And I wanted a whole new fresh start. I wanted a new change for myself. I wanted a new scenery, a new change of pace. And back then, there was a book for all of the performing arts majors at the time. It was called the Performing Arts Majors College Guide. And it had a comprehensive list of all of the top 20 or top 30 schools in each major. And ASU at the time was in like the top 15 of the for theater majors. And so I was like, okay, well, considering the weather, considering how close it is to Los Angeles, considering the way that the campus was built and designed and everything else like that, I think this is going to be the best fit for me. So that's why I decided to go to Arizona, and that's why, I left and booked it on out.
And the entree to LA
Yes.
came almost naturally.
It did. It did because of that. And that was really quite wonderful. I did some work in LA for a while, and then I booked a musical in New York City. So then I had to leave the West Coast and then go back to the East Coast and perform. A little while I performed in Harlem at the Apollo Theater for a while. And that was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Just being in the energy of all of those great, great performers just really does something to your spirit. If that's something, you being a sports guy, you being in the place and space with all these amazing athletes and all these, renowned sportscasters, and it's just the same thing in that type of place and space. So I really love that, while I was doing that, for sure.
But Danielle, there comes a time where you got to make that decision. I'm going to go for this professionally, and that's fantastic because you're chasing your dream. But what they don't tell you a lot of times is how tough it can be.
Yes.
Trying to get started. How did you get going in the business?
Nobody told me that it takes 10 years to make an overnight success.
Only 10?
Only, yeah. And so for me, I was very naive when I first came out of this thing. Like when I first graduated from college, I just had this thought in my mind, like everybody else that went to school with me, that you were that you were supposed to go to college and that you were supposed to get an internship. And then after you got the internship, then you were going to get a good job, and then you were going to go work in your field. And then that's how you were going to live your life. No one ever told me that this does not apply to art. Nobody did. So I'm like with my friends who are like business majors and architect designers and, in IT and STEM and nurses and things. And they're like, great, we're about to get this internship. And then after we get the internship, we're going to have a job and we're going to be great and live our lives. And I'm like, yeah. So I went, got a theater internship working in New York City with the incomparable Freddie King, which is amazing. He just recently had some very great accolades in Broadway given to him, which is fantastic. But anyway, I worked at the New Federal Theater for a summer, met Felicia Rashad, and did all kinds of cool stuff. And so my goal at that time, I was going to move to New York City and be on soap operas. That was my thing. And I was going to go and start off on the soap operas because I had learned that everybody starts off on soap operas. At least this was how it was back then, right? Everybody starts off on soap operas and then you matriculate into real film and TV. And so that was how I was going to do it. I was going to go get my internship, and I was going to go get my job, and I was going to go be a famous actress, and I was going to go be great by 30, and everything was, I don't know, have my mansion and my house, and I was going to, be living my happy life, traveling all over the world, being a movie star. Genuinely.
So how's it coming?
The best way to make God laugh is tell him your plans.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so for me, starting off in this industry, it was very difficult because it was very ambitious. And I had a lot of just zeal and was ready to just really hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. But where are you running to, girl? Like, where are you going? What are you doing? And so for a long time, I was just like throwing darts at a wall to see what would stick. And then finally, I found an acting cohort. Here, it's no longer in existence. It was only for a short period of time, but it was almost like a meteor that went through the Atlanta sky here in Atlanta. It was just crazy. The program that we were in was almost like a conservatory. And so we studied very, very, very intensively from here, and then we would travel back and forth to New York City, and that's where I met Carl doing this program. And at the time it was called the Alchemy of Acting, And there were maybe 10 or 15, maybe 20 of us at the time, tops. And the program rotated for like 3 years or so. And I was just in. We would be studying, we would be working, we'd be training. We were like athletes. We were like Olympic athletes at that point in time. And I think that's where I really started to get my connections, or really started to get my feet wet, really started to meet the people that I needed, to meet, and, start to garner the level of influence that I needed in order to move up in my career. And so working with that group of creatives really helped me to branch out and kind of become the power lifter that I am.
A lot of young actors and actresses are listening to this and listening to you. And I wanted to ask you about the audition process.
Sure.
One of our co-owners, of course, is Jamie Gertz. And she's married to Tony Ressler. And Jamie's been an actress in Hollywood forever. Long list of credentials. She's still going to auditions. She's still getting rejected. I mean, it is like part of the business.
Yes.
So my question to you, for those that are listening for some advice, that are still trying to, go down this path, I want to act and sing and dance and do all these things. How did you process, first of all, the audition process and the ultimate rejection? Because you're going to get a lot more no's
than
you get yeses. So how did you handle that, Danny?
Rejection will never be easy. You just have to learn how to cope with it in a healthy and responsible manner. I think also sometimes as you get older in this industry, the more rejection you get, the harder that it becomes. I think when I was younger and me getting rejected, because they tell you a lot of times that you're going to get 9,999 no's before you get that one, that one yes, right? The one yes that changes everything. And so when you're getting like no 1 through 1,000, you're like, okay, cool. I'm all right. I'm sweating it off. But when you're like at no 975,476, then you're like, oh my, and then you start questioning your sanity, and you start questioning your life, and you start questioning your choices and all of those kind of things. And so that's when it is imperative for you to have a tribe of people around you who will help to keep you grounded and will help to encourage you and keep you going. Because, it's hard, and you really do have to have skin made of adamantium in order to be able to do this. Not steel, not like the stuff that Wolverine's nails are made out of. That stuff. That's what your skin has to be made out of, because it is hard. I actually was in a successful web series for a while, and for a couple of years we did very, very well, and we thought we were going to be picked up by the networks, and for whatever reason things elapsed and we did not wind up getting picked up. And I will never forget how devastated I was. I was absolutely, because I knew that this was going to be my moment. This was going to be our break. This was going to take me to the next level. And it didn't, and it doesn't always happen like that. There are a lot of times where you might be in the room, but until contracts and stuff like that are signed, things can still very easily go out of the window. So it's important to understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint. It's okay to take a break sometimes. It's okay to do things that you focus more on your mental health and focus more on yourself and getting yourself back to being right. Because after a while, if you're on a wild horse and you keep getting thrown off this horse, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get beat up, and you can't go back in to riding or back on riding with everything all broken and bruised and messed up. You have to give yourself time to heal before you get back on that horse again. And so I think those are the things that are really important to understand, that when we do this, I train like I train like an athlete, which is why I watch sports. I spend a lot of time, digesting sports, and sports and entertainment are very, very similar in that regard. And we have to have a lot of stamina in order to be able to do what we do, in order to be able to make it look as easy as we make it look. And because of that, it takes a lot of training and it takes a lot of work. And I think that it's very important for you to take care of yourself physically, but more so mentally and spiritually, because the things that come at you from all different perspectives, whether it's because you're an older person, whether it's because you're a person of color, whether it's because you're a person who might not be conventionally attractive, there's all kinds of things and reasons why people will tell you no. And why you will really feel like you really connected with that role and you really wanted it and you really saw yourself and this could change everything for you. But that just wasn't meant for you. And what is for you will always be for you. And what won't. And so once you take that into consideration and understand that it does take 10 years to make an overnight success, that this is a marathon and not a sprint, and that it's important to have, people around you, then you'll be fine.
So let's flip it.
Okay.
You've gotten a lot of yeses because we see your long list of accomplishments. So tell us about what it was like, the first big role that you went after and they said yes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a big commercial success. It was something that meant a lot to you. Like, I did it. I got the part.
Okay. I did a commercial a couple of years ago for March Madness. And it was a NCAA Capital One commercial or something like that. And so I was really excited because it was my first commercial, my first major commercial that I had booked. And so, of course, I was super happy and calling my mom and, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm in a commercial and it's going to be so great and everything else. And then I get to set and I see who's there. And so they told us, and they, sent us a little email or whatever, and they said that there were going to be, some celebrities who were going to be working on set with us, but, it was cool. And so I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. No big deal. And I get there, and it's Spike Lee directing the commercial.
That he's in.
Right. He's in the commercial. So they have a contract. Capital One has a contract with Spike Lee, I think Sam Jackson and Charles Barkley every year to do these March Madness commercials. And so this is one of the commercials that, he was going to be doing with the guys. And I absolutely love Spike Lee. He is one of my favorite directors. I've been a total creep following around Spike Lee for the past 10 years. Since I've gotten out of college. Any talk back, anything he has, any film festival that he goes to, any appearance, I'm always there, but I'm standing in the corner, waiting for my moment to say hi and be like, oh my gosh. And so I've auditioned for him. I've gone down to the Brooklyn Masonic Center and was there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So when he gets, because he is so sharp. And so when he got there, right at 7:45, because the audition started at 8 and I got there at 3 a.m. and the people were still out at the bars. And I was standing there with a blanket and a bag, and oh my gosh, it was insane. Anyway, Spike Lee was there, and I was so excited, and I was to have the opportunity to work with him and actually see how he runs his sets changed my entire perspective on the business.
What happened that shifted for you watching him?
I think that a lot of times when Spike Lee is a machine, okay? He is a well-oiled machine, and everyone around him knows it and appreciates it and does not question anything or anywhere around him, right? He's super sharp, and I feel like some of the other directors and some of the other people that I had worked with previously, although the art or the project might have been, great, they weren't as sharp as him. And I had never been on a set with a director that I was like, whoa, this is what the major leagues look like. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. There was, of course, granted, once they finally got, settled and sat down and they were about to like shoot their scene with each other. And by the way, I made a point, a purpose for my life to strategically position myself right behind Spike Lee. So you can see me in the commercial. I'm like waving and eating popcorn.
Yeah.
And I'm right behind him and Charles Barkley and
That's
Sam
great.
Jackson. And they're a riot the whole time, the commercial. And just cracking jokes and everything. But so they, laughed and joked and a little bit when they were sitting down. But when time came up and that camera was rolling and action was called, there were no games. There were no games to be played. There was nobody joking. There was nobody laughing. And I think that a lot of times I'm trying to figure out the best way to articulate this. Sometimes when you're an actor of color working with other similar directors, actors, and people of color, sometimes we tend to be more lax, and there's and it can be okay sometimes, but then sometimes it can be kind of detrimental to what, the mission and what, we have going on. It's like, so it's not always good to play and not be as serious. Sometimes it's very important for us to show that level of high professionalism. And I think that experience for me was the first time that I really saw like a Black director working at that high level and excelling at it and really thrive. Like it was something that I knew that this is the reason why I liked him. I see it, I feel it, it emanates in his work. And so I was there and I was on that commercial and I was able to be on my first Spike Lee set, and it will not be my last. And it will not be my last, okay?
That's right.
All the cameras. So that was my most exciting, one of my most exciting experiences for sure.
Well, I hope, Spike, that you see this.
Yes.
And just know, I mean, you got a gem here, but just know that knocking the Knicks out of the playoffs last year for the Hawks, winning Game 5 in New York and waving bye-bye to you and all the rest at Madison Square Garden was a wonderful moment.
Goodbye.
And so that commercial lives on your website. So everyone that's watching this and listening to this can see it. It's hysterical. Of course, Barkley is,
Charles, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Charles Barkley.
He is one of those people who is the same in real life as he is on the set.
Him and Sam Jackson both. They are most definitely the same people in real life as they are on TV. They were both truly gems to work with for sure.
So what's next? Tell us about the latest, greatest that we can find.
Absolutely. So I have a new film that's coming out very soon. It's called Here Comes the Sun, and it is produced by Galo Entertainment. It's another one of Ted Johnson's projects that I'm very, very excited to be in. This particular project stars Terry J. Vaughn, which we all love her work. She's incredible. She's a queen. So, of course, it was wonderful for me to get the opportunity to work with her. She has been living here in Atlanta for quite some time. And I used to take some classes with her when she first got here. She had a acting studio and like a cool coffee. It really was ahead of its time. I tell her that quite often, that if she had waited like a couple of more years when there were more industry people there, it would have really thrived a lot more than it was. But it was really ahead of its time. She had a place, it was called the Green Room. So it was like a cafe and like a cool little like hangout spot with all these like actor books and actor things. And then she would teach classes there as well. So I used to take classes with her, and now I'm in a project with her. And so it was a very wonderful
That's so cool.
It is super cool, and I'm very, very excited about it. it. The story is based upon a true story about some retired veterans, some disabled veterans, and their story and how they are going on in life and how their relationships have been affected by either their disabilities or their PTSD. And then we have this, beautiful. Um, this beautiful woman who comes in and is one of the disabled veterans' siblings, and she just kind of turns their whole house upside down and shows them, kindness and empathy and all of these other wonderful things. So we see a lot of um, character development throughout this story, and really talking about like veteran affairs and how veterans are treated, and the kind of care that they get, not only from just like up top in the government, but what happens to them, to their families and their familial relationships when they come back from serving, and how those things are affected, and having someone just come in and show them some kindness and empathy and a good old time. Yeah. So that's good. I play the Jamaican cook.
The official charity partner of the Red Room Podcast Network is Rescue Me Georgia, an all-volunteer-based organization that specializes in assisting families and rescues around the country to find forever homes for dogs and cats through foster-based placement. A 501c3, Rescue Me Georgia relies entirely on donations to continue to provide care and medical assistance to the pets that need it the most. Use this QR code to learn more. So, we'll pick it up with the role that you have. Okay, you're just about to launch into I play a Jamaican.
Yes, of course. So, the disabled veterans, they all live in like a home, and I come and I am the crazy Jamaican cook. Who comes in and messes with the vets, and that's my job, to come in and kind of keep them on their toes, and I feed them and I give them what I want, how I want to do it, where you want, whenever you want. That's what you got to do, and that's what you got to hold on to. Yeah. So yes, I enjoyed it. It was definitely a very different role for me. So I had to do a lot of like accent work.
Yeah.
And doing a lot of like research as far as listening to different types of like Jamaican music, listening to NPR, and listening to certain people speak in different dialects in different ways, because of course, being a cook, obviously she's not the prime minister. So the dialect is going to be much more like local, much more common than it would be like the Queen's English, just in a Jamaican accent. So it was very interesting to really find a way to bring her to life and make her funny and nuanced, but still very realistic, and like, okay, this might be one of my weird aunties that I might know or see. Like, oh, okay, I can relate to that.
Was it easy for you to get the dialect down?
It did take some work, but I think that it was something that I enjoyed doing. Accent work is something that I enjoy doing, and so for me to be able to kind of put myself in this space, it was fun for me. So it wasn't really work. So it did definitely take some practice, because I had to learn how to do it consistently, and had to learn how to do it without breaking and going back into my American. And so that took a while, and I would just tell people while I was on set, I'm going to be like, hey, listen, I'm going to be talking in my dialect, so you got to do what you got to do, man. Yeah. So, and I just went and would continue it. One thing that I do like to do actors, if you're an actor, do this. It's super funny and you'll enjoy it every single time. Go to the drive-thru at fast food restaurants. Go to the drive-thru at fast food restaurants and practice your accent work there. And if the drive-thru person is like, "Oh my gosh, are you from England? Are you from Jamaica? Are you from wherever?" And you're like, "Yeah, I just got here last week." I do it all the time. I do it all the time. And it's so much fun. It just tickles me pink.
But you got to use different drive-thrus. You can't keep going to the same
No,
one because
of course not.
you're from Peachtree City. We know exactly.
Exactly. Not my small town. No. Whenever a random, if I'm in the mood, I'll go to a random Chick-fil-A and go get a frosted milkshake or something like that, or Zaxby's or whatever in any place, and just go through the drive-thru and use your accent, and it's so funny. You'll
great.
enjoy it every time. But I would do things like that in order to help me.
Well, this has been delightful and so great to learn about you.
Thank you so
and
much.
your journey has been fascinating, and I can see why you're having the success that you're having.
Thank you so much.
You got a great spirit about you, and you got that drive and determination.
This
that
is only
so
the beginning.
Crucial. Yeah, that's great. And despite the fact that you worked with Spike Lee, noted Knicks fan, we wish you well in your next endeavor with Spike.
Thank you so
with
much.
His ties to this city.
That's
and
right.
he roots for the New York Knicks. There's
That's right.
something wrong. But
Listen,
we are
Spike,
kindred
we have to come to
spirits.
some kind of commonality. Look, I got on orange today a little bit, but we can figure it out. We can make it work. I'm sure that we can do a project based here in Atlanta. We can do some stuff, a Morehouse campus. Like, what do you need, sir?
I love it. Danielle, thank you so much
Thank
for
you guys
joining
so
me
much.
on Under
This
the
has
Hood.
been a wonderful time. You guys, please go. The movie Here Comes the Sun, starring Terry J. Vaughn, sponsored by and produced by Galo Entertainment. It comes out on March 24th. We are having our premiere for it, so please be on the lookout. Check everybody's social media, Instagrams, all of that stuff. You can find me online. My Facebook page, my Instagram, my TikTok. It's all just my name, just Danielle Manor, exactly how it sounds, how it's spelled, and everything else like that. So I like to hang out and have fun. I'm not too serious online. So you guys, I like to be silly, and I sing songs, and I like to dance and, do all of those fun, silly things. And so, and I always am promoting my work and promoting art in some kind of capacity. So if you definitely want to find out more about Here Comes the Sun, find out more about Galo Entertainment and the amazing things that Ted Johnson has been doing over the past couple of years, and what he's got next, definitely be on the lookout for that. And I am so excited for all of the things that are going to be happening very soon.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good one.
Okay.